All right. So, Roberto and I are here again, just to share some of the updates of how AI is really going for us day to day in our work of being builders or developers, and then no code strategies there as well, and especially less code as we talk about some strategies we have right now to build things for customers. So let me see. I got one more thing I want to write down for us to do, but let's jump in to the topics. We have a handful of topics we'll cover as we've had a couple of weeks or maybe a month since our last time, just to see what's been going on. For me, I wanted to cover the Bolt Hackathon, but I want to cover both because I know we've spoken in the past about using Cursor, and so because of the hackathon, I used Bolt thinking, okay, I'll give this a try and see what I think. And it's going really well. I was kind of worried because we've done so good or relatively good with Cursor that Bolt would be a step backwards and I'd be fighting it the whole time. So I got to say, Bolt to me, I stepped away from Bolt a while back because it didn't have a good deployment path like Lovable. Every time you deployed it, you lost contact with your Netlify. It just didn't work. And then it didn't have Superbase, but now it has both of those. It can even import repos and start working on them. So it's come a long ways in the right areas, in my opinion. And so building my recent app, I'll link to it below. It's basically what can we watch together. You put in a list of shows you like, they put in a list of shows they like, and then that list starts to populate what shows you might both like. And it's all super base, all whatever it used in the front end, I let it do its thing. I'm really surprised or impressed because I want to get to that place. Like I want this other app I want to build, but I don't want to think about database schemas. I don't want to think about permissions. I don't want to do all this work. I want to have my idea come from a prompt, come from just speaking normal language of what I want the business requirement. So I'm going to try it on that again and see if it's a one-off lucky thing I just had right now, or if it really is more stable and consistent than Lovable and just more fun or more magic than what I'm getting out of Cursor. You've been enjoying Cursor though, so I
Yeah.
don't know. Like, have you tried Bolt in a while?
I did for the hackathon too.
Oh wow, good, good. I'm glad you did it. Yeah,
Yeah. Uh, but it's interesting because I guess it's more that I'm used to having more control. But as you said, like the front end is just
yeah,
whatever they want, and
yeah,
when they don't choose something that I'm used to, and even if you like prompt it to use a specific framework, then it's not as good as what they're trained on. Then it
yeah,
becomes a little wonky. So I try to be just like human language, like just do it your way
yeah,
and let's go from there, right? Use the strength of the tool at the end of the day. So
yeah.
yeah, it's
So,
been
so I threw away my first attempt because I tried to be in control, right? So
exactly,
what
yeah,
did
me too.
you? Yeah. So as it's going now, as you let go of some of that control or whatever you want to call it, like how is it
Yeah.
going?
Um, Better, I would say, yeah.
Yeah,
It's just a bit more difficult for me because I guess I don't trust as much as would want to, because then when it uses a different framework or something like that I'm not used to at all, then I can't audit it as good as I could if it was just something that it generated for whatever that we are used to.
yeah,
So I'm not as confident and as being like, okay, I can probably just sit down and read the code that it generated and just edit it to make it work better. But I
but
mean,
like
it's fine. Yeah,
right, but these are all like come on. These are all symptoms of our biggest problems as developers. We want control,
exactly.
we have opinions, but like come to this from the standpoint of someone with an idea who
Yeah,
can't even think of they can't even spell the word code.
yeah,
And
exactly.
now how do you see it from there? Are you feeling like, wow, this is amazing?
It is amazing because you get like the output you get from the first ever prompt is a usable working application.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. And I guess if it's just a matter of time for the applications to get to a better or like to a working state where you don't have to be like, hey, double check this, or hey, make sure that we are using the security row level correctly so we don't get hacked. Um, um,
Right. Good
and
point.
so when we get to a point that we don't have to be like, hey, read the documentation so you are like implementing things correctly and stuff like that, and they do it themselves,
Yeah. Yeah.
like with their own initiative, then yeah, it's just a matter of time. But we are
No, it's
already,
right. It's a good point there. I want to let go. I want to get to the point where I am just a business owner with an idea. But like you said, it still has a moments where like it will spit out this amazing thing, but then anyone can hack into it.
yeah,
So yeah, it's an interesting one because my point of view is as long as it does what I want as the user and the owner of the idea, then I'm happy. But you're right that that result could be insecure. Okay, all right. Um, it's getting better though, and it's getting closer. And things like Superbase do have role level security,
yeah,
and they do have notifications, and they do have ways of saying, something's wrong here. And maybe eventually they take advantage of that and they all work together better. I don't know. So,
you know.
um, how's your project going?
I have stopped prompting. I'm just trying to research so I don't lose as much context myself on what's going on. But hopefully I'll get something before the month end.
Yeah, yeah.
I have
Um,
pivoted though. I'm making something way more simpler. What I wanted to do was a bit too low level in Linux to make it work
oh,
through
right.
like
Yeah,
so I'm switching to a more like easy in terms of like prompting things to do,
yeah, yeah.
and I'll share it with you soon.
No, it's a good, so versus a desktop app, I'm thinking web apps, but if you bring it down to the desktop level, I wonder how it would do, yeah, with things like
Yeah,
Echo. Yeah,
yeah. I guess that makes it a little bit easier because since it's if it's gonna be local only, then you don't have to worry about all those like vector points of entry, like so
right.
maybe it's a good use case.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes because I know what you're trying to do if I remember right, and it would be really cool. Um, the next thing is again low code, no code. We've been using Slack and it's kind of built in. Um, I forget what they call it, block whatever. So that
Block kit.
yeah.
Yeah,
So between that and Google Sheets, we can easily get a customer solution out there that does what they need to do with
yeah.
no code or low code. Especially with Slack, where it's just JSON. OpenAI spits it out, and we put it inside an N8N node. And next thing you know, they have a form they can add things to. How has that been going?
I got a little way too excited and I was like, oh my God, maybe we can create an entire application out of this.
Yeah,
Because it's really cool how, well, Slack's block kit lets you dynamically update the view, like at any point, just passing like a trigger ID. So there was a point where I asked the user to paste a URL for a spreadsheet. Then we
yeah,
read that URL in a N8N and build like specific nodes based on the results of that. So we can do like dynamic interfaces, like, okay, choose a spreadsheet name from this list, and
yeah.
then we can start like prompting the user to do stuff and
Right.
process it and come back. And it's a really interesting way to handle
Yeah.
UIs, I guess. But yeah,
Yeah.
it went
So
really well.
did it go well? Cool, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had this one. I had this one where you can say, "Hey, wait for the human to respond," and then when you do that, they get a button in Slack that then brings them back to N8N. It was kind of interesting. Um,
yeah,
so you can actually do human in the loop type stuff, workflows. It's interesting. It's been going okay. Um, I think UI is hard no matter what. Everybody in this particular team is in Slack all day, so
yeah,
giving them forward slashes to use can be hard if we then have 50 forward slashes they can do commands with. So
yeah.
we'll see how it scales. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm not sure, how well it's going to go. And Slack is its own world of like how to do things. Like they're not exactly the best documented, the best,
No,
place. Yeah,
no, it's a bit complex to read their docs. Sometimes
yeah,
it's buried between like three layers deep of like a section.
yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
usually everything's there.
Well, and then they have this kind of like, it seems like we have to have one webhook for everything. And that
Yeah,
one webhook, then we use a switch statement in an N8N to figure out where to route it to.
yeah,
It's not bad. It's just a lot of learning.
yeah,
Um, but I think Mattermost is what I'm starting to use too. So I'm looking forward to maybe doing more integrations there. But again, it just removes us. It it just makes me think more and more like, it's when do we build UI? When do we just use what's there and the tools that are there? So,
and
um,
the way that is easier for the user at the end of the day, like what are
yeah,
they most used to?
yep,
Because we could try and build the most amazing UI in Laravel or TypeScript or whatever, but if they are
yeah.
just used to Google Sheets and Slack,
Yeah, that's a really good point. The Google Sheets was inspiring because they keep using them no matter what we build. We find them inside of Google Sheets processing information, and you realize how powerful it is. In
yeah,
spreadsheets enable normal users to get their job done. So it's like, how do we embrace that? Yeah, that's a good point too. Like that was one of our biggest inspirations too. Is like no matter what we build, they keep going back there. So how do we work with them instead of against
yeah.
them? Um, and that's been going well. Did you get over that issue where we would hit it too many times and then we with row after row after row? So did we solve that?
Yes, there were a couple, like the one we fixed together was just to get all the data together and issue one update instead of like n updates, n plus one. But like the issue that I'm trying to figure out how to best solve right now without introducing a lot of weight is, for
Yeah.
example, if they have 50 things they want to kick off, and
Yeah.
each one of them triggers like 5 or 6 requests, then
Yeah.
we will get rate limited very quickly. So
By
it's
Google Sheet.
either
Yeah.
implementing
Yeah.
like a queue or something like that to just be like every one of them has to wait like 10, 20 seconds between each run,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
becomes like a bit too slow to process sometimes. But
No,
it's
no, that
it's
is a
it's a
good point.
balancing act.
Yeah, no. We had that moment where we shoved them all through a loop, and at the end, we took the aggregated results and put them in at once after we formatted it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's a good point. We'll have to see how that goes. I mean, we could use NoCodeDB and other things, but they're so comfortable in Google Sheets. Why not try to keep doing it there? One problem I had recently was when you want to update a row, even if you have the row ID, Google Sheets doesn't in N8N doesn't give you the option of choosing the row ID. At least I didn't see it, unless I missed it. Um,
Mm,
I'll go look again. So I made a column called unique ID, and I just made it a combination of some things. And I'll have to look again, but I could have sworn it did not have row ID, even though it had it in the results. So
I,
I had to figure out how to update a row without what I would consider to be just easy row ID stuff. So
One thing I noticed too is that the N8N nodes for at least Google Sheets are not feature complete with their API. For
yeah, good
example, I
point.
try I tried to get all the spreadsheet names within a spreadsheet, all
Yeah,
the sheet names within a spreadsheet, and they don't
yeah,
have a way to do that via
yeah, no,
the
yeah,
nodes. So I
yeah,
I had to do like an HTTP node hitting Google's
yeah.
API,
Good idea.
and that's the way I got it. But
Nice, nice.
um,
Did
so
you um did you check the community ones? Because that is a good point, and I forgot about
mm,
HTTP.
No, I didn't. I
Okay.
thought, yeah, well,
Yeah, yeah,
didn't occur to me to check. Yeah.
yeah. The HTTP one's good. I'll have to try that one because I forgot about that. And then because I use that for super-based file uploads because they just don't work in N8N
Yeah.
either way. Um, so that's good. And I wonder if you could take advantage of HTTP to then get around that issue with Google Sheets and delays, right? Because
Yeah.
you could hit it once and say if you fail, try again in 10,
In
20
N.
seconds. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, all right, the next big one is Cursor. I know we're focusing on that as our IDE. There are so many options out there. Um, what do you think? How's that going for you?
Very good actually. And lately I've been using VS Code too, just to try out some of
Yeah,
the like
yeah,
local plugins, for example,
yeah.
Klein. And it also works great. So I'm just testing out the same prompts basically on the same projects,
You,
either on
yeah.
Cursor and VS Code, just to like measure how different things are between the big models like Cloud and like the local ones like Mistral or
Yeah.
stuff like that. And
Yeah.
often it's like pretty close, except when it gets like very long, like when you need like a lot of tool calls and a lot of like reading the code base and scanning
Oh yeah.
things, then Cloud is better. And the like prompts that Cursor has are more like feature complete than what you can
Yeah.
get in Client, at least out of the box.
Yeah.
Um,
So with Klein, you were using your local models. Is that true?
yeah, and it's
Nice. Nice.
really good to be honest. Yeah.
That's cool. I'll have to give that a try. That brings me to my next question or thought is like, it's funny because cursor is not an end in itself. It's a point in time right now where I think what we're heading to is where we just have like 20 different repos with 20 different code ideas or client projects, and each one of those has an issue that we put a prompt in to go do something, right?
Yeah.
So, and then we trigger that particular, AI to go do the job and get back to us when it's done, right?
Yeah.
Like to me, Cursor and Klein are both like stopgaps to that moment of like, hey, it's just happening over there. Um, I'm now monitoring 100 projects at once, and as
Mhm.
an experienced developer, I can maybe help if those 1 out of 100 get stuck. So,
Yeah.
like, have you done anything with the particular tools right now with Copilot or Jules or whatever with those type of PR issue-driven AI builds?
I did try Junie from JetBrains, and
Oh,
they
come on. Listen.
and
How did it go?
not great. It was very
Yeah.
slow, and the result was um, worse than Cursor, let's say.
Yeah, let's ignore that comment because JetBrains, I don't know what happened to them.
Yeah, they're
Yeah. I mean, I
it,
did
it
one. I did one with Jules. I think it's called Jules from Google, and it was
yes.
okay. Yeah, it was okay. Nothing amazing, but um, in you saying slow. I mean, yeah, sure. It took a while for the PR to get picked up, and then for it to build, and then for it to deploy. Um, but who cares if I have 100 of those going at
Exactly.
once?
If it's in the
Right
background,
now,
then
yeah. Right now with cursor, my limitation is I have like three cursors open at once, and I'm waiting.
oh,
Right. Like,
but you can do background agents now in Cursor.
yeah, good point. Yeah, did you do that?
Not yet. I have been waiting on their privacy modes. I think they have enabled them now. So I will try it later.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
because you needed to basically share the code base with them for the background agents to work, and I wasn't really comfortable with that. But now
yeah.
they have like like an option that allows you to just toggle privacy mode with storage, I think it's
Yeah.
called, and then it can work. But yeah.
So, but basically, a background agent is not. I mean, are they moving that code off to their own like repo build system and doing stuff? Is that what they're doing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have like local VPS running in the background. Well, not local, remote VPS is running in the background,
That's
and then
interesting.
you can integrate with GitHub, and then they do like the whole PR process and reviews and everything.
Huh.
So yeah,
No, it's interesting. I mean, I think that's where it's going, but then I don't want to have to run something locally.
yeah,
Um, so it would happen in the cloud. But then, I know there's this whole other side of thinking with privacy and all that. But in the long run, thinking about hosting or having that hosted for you and running in the background is interesting. I'll have to come back to that. I'll try the background. I don't know. I saw the background processes and it wasn't enough for me. I want it just to
mm,
happen on GitHub, and I go
and
there and make it
yeah,
show. Um, so I guess the next two, we got like two or three more things to cover. How has your N8N work been going? Any evolutions or in your thinking? Any like experiences in the past month that have solidified anything either way?
yes. It's been great, honestly. I like how quickly you can turn out an idea into like an actual working
Yeah,
process.
yeah,
Um, with the Google spreadsheet situation,
Yeah.
it was a big learning curve, but at the end, we could automate a lot of stuff that would have
Yeah.
taken us way longer
I
in
know.
code.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but now I'm at a point where I'm like missing or like I miss some of the facilities that Cursor gives you with being like with having access and control to the code itself. I wish now we had some like either an AI browser or like an N8N IDE that would let us build the nodes more quickly.
Yeah.
Because it's more a thing now where the limitation is my own knowledge. Like I don't know all the extent of how the nodes work and what
Yeah.
options we have and stuff like that. So that's my current state, but honestly, it's been very
Yeah.
good.
No, I mean, it's a really good point with Google Sheets. Like, imagine if we had to build the database migrations, build the UI so the user can go in there and enter their information. Those rows of information have different nuances like field types, drop down lists, and everything. And then
Yeah,
give them that UI to go manage all that information, hundreds and hundreds of rows, and at a drop of a dime, they want to change or add a new field or column. Like, we just could never do that.
yeah,
So now, like yesterday, this person has this great spreadsheet. She manages all the particular items in there. She has a column to with a pull down list that can then potentially trigger a new action, who's in charge, whatever. And here I am with N8N saying, okay, I'm going to point it there, and every day you're going to get a morning report. Every day we're going to send automatic emails to customers, mark things as the next step, like
yeah,
push in the Slack the report of what's due today, notify people who are in charge of that particular item. Hey, you got this one. Like you and I could never have that went from an hour or two of work. That would have been weeks. And
exactly.
that's just the bottom line. Like AI aside, any developer taking weeks to build that is it's not fair. It's like they're holding on to this thing, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
yeah. So
The only way I could see it working, quote unquote, in like a 100% code way would be if we were super like meticulous and strict with ourselves and have like a whole like component library built together so we could
I
just
know,
use it like a Lego brick and reuse things a
dude.
lot,
Like
which is
even
what basically anything does for us.
yeah, even with the known libraries in Laravel, like we use the most well-known spreadsheet export whatever garbage, and she wanted one alteration to a column, and I'm like, oh
Oh,
crap, I don't want to then read this code, do this. I just pointed it to a webhook. That
that's true.
webhook said,
Yeah,
go query the data, shoot it as a CSV, she was done, and the thing was done.
yeah.
And now I never have to go back to that code again to do these things that seemed efficient at the time. I'm like, wow, they're not even close.
Yeah, and
Um,
one example I can give with like how good N8N has been is, for example, we had a workflow that uploads a file to an SFTP folder, and we
oh yeah,
wanted to encrypt it. And
yeah,
N8N in this case didn't have a way for us to encrypt those files with GPG, PGP.
yeah, yeah,
So it was just a matter of installing a community node, hooking it up in the workflow, saving,
yeah,
and that was it. We didn't have to update anything. We didn't have to deploy anything, and it was
yeah, no,
immediately on production per se, and it
yeah,
just like
yeah,
worked.
yeah,
Versus having to download a new library, vet it for security,
yeah,
do a whole list of like small processes that would take like a
yeah,
day or two.
yeah. No, it's
So
true. I remember that one, and you're right. There's no deploy. There's no complexities there. You're just like, here you go, 5 minutes later, or depending on the complexity of the thing you're trying to solve.
of
The other
course,
thing too is if they end up having to pay for an embed license for N8N at $5,000 a year, that's maybe 60 to 80 hours of our labor. Like they're easily already getting that back in no time at
yeah,
all for this company, you know?
yeah,
And
it's
that's only if they get to that point where they have to. Um,
exactly.
yeah. So yeah, I would say the same thing here. Like the constant things I can get done in such quick amount of time. it just ends up it's just mind blowing. So yeah, okay, it's good to know. It's good to hear from you too with the spreadsheet because it's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, two more things. One is for me and one is for you. How is your Linux adventure going? What's the latest?
Very, it's been very fun, to be honest. I have like a dedicated GPU, and well, my CPU has an integrated
Yeah.
GPU too. So what I did was
Oh,
hook up my screen to the integrated GPU and turn the dedicated one into like an optional thing.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
by default, it runs like in a detached mode. So um, I can virtualize any Windows machine, Mac OS, or any other Linux machine through QEMU and just give that whole hardware GPU to that VM,
Yeah.
and it works really good.
Yeah.
And also when I want to run, for example, Olama or local models in my host
Yeah.
machine, I have a
Yeah.
little script that just detaches the driver from the
Yeah.
virtualized one and hooks up the NVIDIA driver, and then it's like if I connected it through my screen, right?
Yeah.
So I have the best of both worlds where I can just use my GPU either in Linux or in a VM. So it's
When when you use it in the VM, are you using it that way to help with local LLMs, or is it just to run different operating systems in the VM?
mostly to run different operating systems where I can snapshot them and don't have to worry about backups or anything like that. I
Oh,
can
good.
run like an ephemeral Windows instance that I don't have to worry about maintaining or anything. I can just rerun it, restart it as if nothing happened. And I
Yeah.
get like the benefit of having hardware level access to the GPU. So I have 3D acceleration and everything like,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Jeez.
yeah.
All right. Um, no, it's interesting. I mean, you could actually run a whole your whole desktop in there and never have to worry about, like you said, backing it up or whatever. I wonder too, like when we get to that place where the like one thing with all the Manus and things where it's AI running your whole desktop, you could have multiple or one VM there that's a AI driven desktop doing all your
Exactly.
more complex work. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
No, and
Um,
if we get like an MCP to spin up VMs that can then use the hardware and have an
yeah.
AI just do the things with
Yeah,
it.
because I hit some
Yeah.
problems recently where I needed Manus because it had more of a desktop approach versus browser use, which just had a browser approach. And
Mm.
using Manus, I was able to bypass some of the Cloudflare issues or limitations or security because it
Yeah.
sees it as a desktop versus just a browser.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so, I mean, yeah, that's actually neat with the VM. I forgot I was with all the stuff moving towards AI and desktop driven stuff. That the more VMs our machine can run, the better we might be. That's kind of neat because you could have two or three GPUs, I think, depending on the slots in there. You know.
Yes,
Um,
and for some GPUs, I don't think NVIDIA allows it yet, but you can actually partition them just like a CPU. Like you have 20 CPUs and you can do like two vCPUs per VM. You can
wow.
actually partition your GPU so every VM
Yeah.
has like a special, like a
Yeah.
limited number of cores, basically.
Wow. Wow.
So, and the operating system is just like a single file that you can back up either to an external drive or something like that. So it's pretty handy.
Yeah, and it may be fast to spin up and do that particular automation.
Yeah,
Um, so, I mean, for me, it's just the VO3 stuff, mostly because not just VO, but just um, generating film in of itself. Like it comes, like look at we are developers. We're always thinking about how AI helps us build things without code, but we forget, like we were talking about earlier, we didn't even know how to approach. We know how to approach these problems, but now me as someone who always has imagined doing more film or music, but I don't understand the language at all, can approach those particular areas like I never could before. So
yeah,
it's just, I think it's a handy one too because I enter a place where I don't have control because I don't even know what control looks like, right?
exactly.
And so then I benefit from the AI more because I'm just letting it guide me. And the tools like Runway or there was another one recently that looked good where they have kind of like the user interface to help me understand what camera angles to use or whatever. So my point is
Mm.
that stuff's been pretty interesting because now we can start generating music or film level stuff without knowing how to do Adobe whatever, and the things that I'm not
Exactly.
good at. So yeah, that's been interesting to have access to, and then use for whatever creative or just stupid business ideas. So
Yeah, and we can do like whole marketing campaigns for our like vibe coded
yeah,
applications.
yeah.
So it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the guy with the gorilla one with the teeth and the dentist, the orthodont, whatever
Oh,
the
no, not yet.
I mean, it's just you just realize people like we're just stumbling over these ideas of how silly something can be, but still, get to a point. Like
I I
they can never.
saw I saw that there's like a very trend. Well, like it's a channel that makes shorts for YouTube
Yeah.
for with AI ASMR,
Oh,
and they
jeez. Yeah.
do like metallic things
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
cut and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which is generating a lot of views, and it's very
Yeah.
very interesting too.
Yeah. No, but then I hear you, and people like that. There's others too where they're doing shorts on the prompt theory where they ask the AI, "Hey, do you know you're just a prompt?" And they show that
Yeah.
it's like, "Hey, I'm not just a prompt; I'm a real person." It's
Yeah.
the creative output is going to be, 1,000 times more garbage, but with that X% of good stuff increases as well. So
Yeah.
if, so it's exciting to see, and for me, it's just been exciting to play with, and it's still work, but it's just crazy that I can now enter a field that I never could have before, and I hope to keep doing
Exactly.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
just like us. I mean, we enter these next levels of building stuff that we couldn't have done before. So.
Yeah.
Uh, all right, I mean that's cool. I just want to cover those topics every month or two, so we can see if how it's going, and if it's really hype or not. I think we both agree the no code N8N pathway is going really well. The AI stuff is not hype, but it's definitely not 100% autonomous. We still have to kind
Exactly.
of
Yeah.
yeah. Um, but I think it's improving. I mean, I think clearly everything is getting better, whether it's Cursor or Cursor, Claude Code, or these PR systems. We just see progression to more automation. So that's interesting too.
Yeah.
Um, all right, cool. Well, next time we talk, maybe you can use your VM Linux to hook up and do it that way. See what happens.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
everybody for listening. If anyone listened, and we'll talk to you in a month or two.
Bye bye.
All right, cool.